Listen, I know exactly why you clicked on this video. You're here because you are staring down the barrel of a $90, maybe even a $100,000 purchase in one of the most volatile automotive markets we have ever seen. You're looking at interest rates that are still punishing, dealer markups that are finally starting to crack, and a heavy-duty truck segment that is getting more expensive by the day. And you are terrified, rightfully so, that the truck you buy today is going to be a financial albatross tomorrow. We are talking about the 2025 Ram 3500. On paper, this truck was supposed to be the holy grail. It was supposed to be the model year where Ram finally fixed everything. They promised us the retirement of the hated 68 RFE transmission. They promised us the end of the killer grid heater bolt. They promised a mechanical revolution. And if you look at the brochure, it looks like they delivered. But I need you to stop looking at the brochure and start looking at the data. Because what we are seeing in the 2025-2026 market context is a massive paradox. Mechanically, this might be the best truck Ram has ever built, but digitally, it is currently a liability. We are seeing do-not-drive recalls, catastrophic electrical failures, and quality control lapses that are absolutely unacceptable at this price point. If you are a fleet manager trying to keep trucks on the road or a private buyer trying to protect your retirement savings from a lemon, this is the most important research you will do today. We are going to separate the marketing promise from the engineering reality and answer the big question: is the 2025 Ram 3500 reliable enough to bet your bank account on? Let's start under the hood, because this is where the biggest money is spent and where the biggest risks usually hide. For 2025, the 6.7-liter Cummins high-output turbo diesel has undergone a massive architectural shift. For nearly 20 years, if you owned a Ram, you lived in fear of the killer grid heater. This was a bolt on the intake heater that would vibrate loose, fall into cylinder number 6, and destroy your engine. It was a $25,000 failure waiting to happen. Well, good news, that grid heater is gone. Ram has finally switched to glow plugs. This is huge. Glow plugs are screwed directly into the cylinder head. They heat the combustion chamber in about 3 seconds, and they eliminate that bolt ingestion risk entirely. It brings Ram in line with Ford and GM, and frankly, it's about time. But here is the curveball. They didn't just change the heater, they changed the block itself. In 2019, Ram moved to a compacted graphite iron, or CGI, block to save weight. For 2025, they have reverted back to a traditional cast iron block. Now, why would they make the truck heavier? It's likely about durability and noise control. Iron absorbs vibration better than CGI. This suggests Ram is trying to dampen the valve train noise that has plagued these newer trucks. However, we need to talk about the elephant in the room: hydraulic lifter failure. Since 2019, the switch to hydraulic lifters has caused serious headaches. These lifters can collapse or seize, wiping out the camshaft lobe and sending metal shavings through your oil system. While the switch back to an iron block might change the thermal expansion rates and maybe help the lifter bores, we don't have enough data yet to say it's fixed. Until we see these 2025s hitting high mileage, you have to assume the risk remains. You need to be budgeting for high-quality 5W40 synthetic oil, not the cheap stuff, and you need to be religiously minimizing your idle time. And a quick note on the fuel system. The terrifying Bosch CP4 pump that used to explode and take out your injectors? It's gone. The 2025 models are using a much more robust pump, likely a revision of the CP3, which is a massive win for long-term ownership costs. Now, let's move to the single biggest financial upgrade in this truck. The 68 RFE 6-speed automatic is dead. If you've been towing with Ram for the last decade, you know this transmission was glass. It had weak overdrive clutches and terrible gear spacing. For 2025, it's been replaced by a ZF-sourced 8-speed automatic called the PowerLine. This is not the same transmission as the Ram 1500. This is a commercial-grade unit. The first gear is drastically lower, 4.71 to 1 versus the old 3.23. That means when you were pulling a 15,000-pound fifth wheel off the line, the torque multiplication is incredible. You aren't straining the drivetrain anymore. But, and there is always a but, early owners are reporting clunky shifting. We're hearing about hesitation in the 1-2 and 2-3 shifts, and sometimes a harsh engagement that feels like you got rear-ended. Dealers are calling this learning mode, saying the computer needs to adapt to your driving style. But let's be real, this is likely a software calibration issue that will need a patch. It's not a mechanical failure like the old burnt clutches, but it is annoying when you've just dropped 90 grand. Also, watch out for the ASIN confusion. If you are buying a cab chassis or a specific max tow package, double-check your build sheet. Some of those might still be using the ASIN 6-speed. It's bulletproof, yes, but it shifts like a tractor. If you want the modern 8-speed efficiency, verify the code before you sign. Okay, we've covered the good news. Now we have to talk about the bad news. And honestly, it's pretty scary. This launch has been besieged by safety recalls that you cannot ignore. This isn't about a rattling trim piece. This is about whether the truck is legal and safe to drive. The big one is the Occupant Restraint Control Module, or ORC. Approximately 52,000 trucks have a software defect where this module just goes offline while you're driving. No warning lights, no chimes, nothing. If you get into a crash in this state, your airbags will not deploy, your seatbelt pretensioners will not fire, and your electronic stability control might be disabled. That is a triple threat failure on a 4-ton vehicle. It's a 10 out of 10 on the risk scale. Then you have the instrument cluster blackout. The new 12-inch digital dashboard has a software bug where the screen simply turns off. Imagine towing 20,000 pounds down a grade and suddenly losing your speedometer, your engine temp gauges, and your brake warnings. It's a complete loss of situational awareness. These aren't theoretical problems. These are active recalls affecting trucks built between July 2024 and mid-2025. If you are looking at a truck on a dealer lot right now, you need to demand proof, in writing, that recall 25V882, the airbag module, and recall 25V826, the cluster, have been performed. Do not take their word for it. Beyond the safety stuff, the daily driving experience is being ruined for many people by the Uconnect 5 system. Look, the ads show this beautiful 14.5-inch screen. But the reality for early buyers is a pop-up message that says, Uconnect box requires service. This error is linked to the telematics box module. When this fails, you lose your GPS, your Wi-Fi hotspot, and your SOS emergency calling. And it's not just a glitch you can ignore, because it often prevents over-the-air updates from installing, so your truck gets stuck on old, buggy software. Dealers are trying hard resets, but many are having to replace the entire module. And then there's the phantom braking. The automatic emergency braking system is overly sensitive. Owners are reporting that the truck will slam on the brakes because it sees a shadow under a bridge or a reflective road sign. If you are towing a trailer, an uncommanded panic stop is a nightmare scenario. It can cause trailer sway or a jackknife. This is the tech-level risk matrix we talk about. If you buy a tradesman trim with the basic radio and fewer sensors, you are actually insulating yourself from these problems. The higher you go in trim, Laramie, Limited, the more exposure you have to these electrical faults. Let's move inside. While the Ram interior is still the class leader in terms of luxury materials, the build quality underneath is showing cracks. We are still seeing the legacy leaks. The center high-mounted stoplight, the third brake light, still has a garbage gasket that leaks water into the cabin. You'll find water stains on the headliner or pools under the rear seat. If that water runs down the back wall, it hits the RF hub. That's the brain for your key fob. If that gets wet, your truck won't start. It is a $4 gasket ruining a $90,000 truck. And while we are in the interior, let's talk about a design flaw that drives me crazy. The center console on these trucks is massive, which is great, but the lid is covered in this material that seems designed to absorb elbow grease and scratch the second you look at it. It's a high-wear area that starts looking trashy in 6 months. That's why I always recommend grabbing a neoprene console cover. It protects that resale value and makes the armrest way more comfortable. Now, I know not all of you want diesel. You might be looking at the 6.4-liter Hemi gas engine to save 10 grand up front. But you need to know the math on this. The 6.4 Hemi is a known quantity, but it's not perfect. It still suffers from the Hemi tick, which is a lifter roller failure caused by low oil pressure at idle. It also loves to snap exhaust manifold bolts because of thermal expansion issues. And let's talk real-world MPG. With the gas engine, you were looking at maybe 12 to 14 MPG on the highway if you were empty. Towing? You're in the single digits, 6 or 7 MPG. At $3.50 a gallon, if you drive 15,000 miles a year, you are spending roughly $4,000 just on fuel. The diesel might get you 17 to 19 MPG empty and 10 to 12 towing. The fuel savings alone won't pay for the diesel upgrade quickly, but the resale value retention of the diesel is vastly superior. So here is the verdict. Is the 2025 Ram 3500 reliable? Mechanically, yes. The move to the ZF transmission and glow plugs makes the powertrain stronger than it has been in 2 decades. They fixed the big mechanical weak points. But digitally? No. The software is in a beta test phase. The safety recalls are serious. If you are a US researcher trying to protect your money, here is my advice. Strategy A, the unicorn build. If you need a truck now, order a lower trim tradesman or bighorn. Get the diesel, get the new transmission, but skip the 12-inch screen and the advanced safety groups. You get the mechanical bulletproofing without the digital headaches. Strategy B, the wait. If you can wait, hold off until the mid-2026 production run. Let them sort out the ORC module software and the transmission calibration. Buying the first year of a major electrical refresh is always a gamble, and right now, the odds aren't in your favor. The 2025 Ram 3500 is a truck with iron bones but a confused brain. It's incredibly capable, but you have to navigate these recalls carefully. Check the VIN, inspect for leaks, and maybe, just maybe, wait for the software update before you sign that check. Thanks for watching. If this saved you from a lemon, hit that like button. And let me know in the comments, would you trust the new ZF transmission, or do you miss the old Ison? I'll see you in the next one.